Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Talos of Tech live on Twitch. It is Attack of the Pluses for those who don't know. Paramount Plus is taking over CBS All Access, which basically means we're going to have Peacock, Disney Plus, TV Plus. What else is next? Paramount Plus, HBO Max, Netflix, Hulu, Prime Video. Why don't they just rebrand it to Amazon Plus? Make this a lot simpler for naming schemes. Also, why the heck did Twitch community retweet my tweet? You They're not even following me, but they retweeted the tweet of me going live for no reason. I saw a lot of people in the Discord this morning complaining. I had a subject here in mind, but now I'm distracted. I just had Twitter open and I'm like, wait, is that the official Twitch community Twitter account? I guess it is. Whatever. But okay, thanks. Thanks for the retweet. My subject was people miss the days when there was basically just Netflix and nothing else, and that was like the only streaming service. I'm here to tell you the studios making all their own streaming services, like, NBC's making Peacock, Apple's making TV Plus, Amazon has Prime Video, Netflix has Netflix, believe it or not, and HBO has their own thing. Everybody's got their own streaming service. I'm sure there's some I'm forgetting. This stuff was not just because these streaming services are, greedy, profit-hungry companies. Like, they had to do this. Okay, look, the only way forward sometimes is adopting new standards in the industry. And to be completely honest, Netflix was a huge threat to all of them, because Netflix was just kind of one of the big first streaming services to get popular. That's kind of the OG, the one we all remember. And they pretty much still have one of the largest back catalogs of any streaming service. And now they're making their own original content. But that's exactly wise, because they realize that Netflix's, is that a term? Netflix's, as in owned by Netflix? All of their profit was coming from other people's stuff. Basically, they developed a website and then were going to individual studios and asking for permission to stream their content, and then Netflix makes a profit off of that. Okay, so they already bankrupted, Blockbuster, but who is going to be next? I mean, you know how much money these studios make off of like DVD and Blu-ray sales? Like, that's a huge catalog of what people watch. And Netflix was basically eating everything up, getting as many movies and TV shows as they could. So now all these other studios were losing revenue because, the idea of buying movies and TV shows digitally was kind of dying away, and it was becoming more of the streaming model. The idea of Netflix just sticking around and all of these other companies just saying, you know what, that's Netflix's thing. We're just going to keep releasing movies. And okay, I guess our DVD and Blu-ray sales are going to die down to almost nothing because Netflix is eating away all of our profits. Like, no, I don't think, sure, companies care about profits and making a buck. That makes sense. A company needs money to survive. But at the same time, it's not just like we need more money because they're making a streaming service. Like, this was inevitable. No, the studios didn't even own their own DVD stores, but they get royalties off of the sales of the DVD because there's the one distributing that. Netflix was heavily disrupting that industry. That's why things like Blockbuster went out of business, was because of the business model of Netflix. And it likely would have... Oh, give me a break. Now we're getting bandwidth issues now. Why you do this? Comcast, no. This is not the time. I was on a roll here. Fine, I'm turning off Wi-Fi and all the things. Okay, speaking of crappy streaming services, Comcast has decided that today you're not going to have fun. I'm going to close as much stuff as I can. Oy. Okay. We back? We green? Sorry, there was some lag in there. Oh, I hate it when that happens. Okay. It seems to be somewhat stable down. Netflix doesn't like me talking about them like this. Okay. All right, service OBS looks green now. I'm gonna see what is this? I turned the One Plus on today. I bet it's the One Plus's fault. Oh no, it's dead. Okay, it can't be that. Battery's dead on the One Plus. All right. Basically, in order for these big studios to survive or to retain all of the money they lost by Netflix taking off, they needed to make their own alternatives. This was just Netflix being ahead of the time and everyone else realizing, oh, wait a second. Netflix is making a bunch of money off of our content. So we're not going to let Netflix get away with that. So we're going to make our own services that are cheaper than Netflix that have all of our content. So what I'm trying to say is it was inevitable. Like, this is not something the streaming companies just came up with themselves, and it's annoying. I get that. I'm frustrated by how many subscription services there are, and it's fairly frustrating how we're, moved away from cable TV, and now it feels like it's coming back if you want to subscribe to all the services. But I will at least still admit, I think uh the streaming services model, as annoying and as weird as it is to have all these different companies, Paramount Plus, Peacock, and Netflix, and TV Plus, and Prime Video, and Hulu, and HBO Max, as annoying as it is to have all these different services, it's still better than cable TV. For one, because most of the time, if you are paying for these services, there are free versions. But if you are paying for them, pretty much that guarantees no ads, right? Like, Netflix has been very adamant in the past. They don't want to do advertising. Peacock and Hulu have versions of the service with ads, but they're a lot cheaper than Netflix, that's for sure. I mean, Peacock has a free tier, which literally costs nothing. And then they have a paid tier that grants you access to like more content for like $5 a month, and then $10 a month gets rid of all the commercials. And Peacock has pretty wide selection of stuff. I know their name is stupid, but I've been using them quite a bit, and they're not that bad, to be honest with you. I understand why they are already, like, they haven't been out that long. Peacock launched in July of last year, and they're already double the market share, more than double the market share of Apple TV Plus, which has been a thing since November of 2019. And that's only counting Peacock Premium. That is not counting the free tier of Peacock. So it's a very stupid name. I honestly think I would have been fine with NBC Plus, as generic as that sounds. I don't want to have to say the word Peacock every time I'm referring to the service. It's just a stupid name. But anyway, this type of business model allows us to stream content wherever we want to. Cable still sucks because, for one, it's very expensive, and most of the time you have to buy a bunch of stuff. Whereas in actuality, as many streaming services as there are, you really only have to pick and choose the ones you want. I've seen a lot of people that are like, Netflix doesn't really have anything I care about, or I don't really care about anything on Peacock. So you don't have to subscribe to those. It's a lot easier for the end consumer to just pick and choose the ones they want. Whereas on cable TV, it was all about buying everything. Like, you got to buy this huge package full of thousands of channels you didn't want. And also, those cable TV packages all had like 50% commercials. It was like you were paying money, it was expensive, and there's ads. And also the resolution, the image quality was pretty crap too. Most of cable TV is still like 720p, some of it below that. And most of these streaming services, if you're willing to pay for them, are 1080p minimum. Most of them are allowing 4K HDR content. Disney Plus is how many? It was $7. I think they rose it to $8 a month now, and you get everything for 4K surround sound HDR. Same with TV Plus. It's like $5 a month, and everything's 4K highest resolution. So you can stream that wherever you want. As long as you have an internet connection, you can watch that content from your phone, your iPad, your TV. So I still say it's better than cable, but it is obviously falling back into the trap of cable being like, you got to subscribe to a certain package. And yeah, if you subscribe to everything, which I don't think most people do, there might be a few people that literally have to subscribe to like every single streaming service, but I feel like most people kind of pick and choose the ones that have the shows they're interested in. I feel like not everyone is just signing up for everything like we did with cable TV. And sorry, the future did not involve more content being produced, high quality content being produced, higher and higher budget TV shows, and then all of them coming to Netflix. And then all the other studios just sat back and said, okay, Netflix, you enjoy all the profits of our work, and we'll just sit back here and relax. Sorry, that was not the future. That was not a reliable business model for streaming services. And second of all, that would not have worked out, because TV shows used to, like, production quality used to suck. If there were like TV movies back in the like 90s and 80s, TV movies were like complete garbage. TV movies were done on like a fraction of the budget and looked significantly worse, like tenfold times worse, if you go back and look at what TV movies used to be. Now look at TV movies today. They're like arguably just as good, if not better, than Hollywood movies that came out uh, back when movie theaters were a thing. Now you can expect to see movies debut on streaming services with super duper high budget quality. And TV shows in general, like the old Star Trek or the old sitcoms had like a fraction of the budget, and they could barely make anything that looked remotely close to what came out in the movie theater. And now we have shows like The Mandalorian that are like just as good, arguably better than the movies coming out in that Star Wars universe, or the TV shows that Apple's putting out look just as good as a Hollywood feature. So yeah, it's Hallmark is still bad in HD. That's good. Hallmark will always be bad. Krishna, thank you for the Twitch Prime for 11 months. Appreciate that. Getting the Apple Magic Keyboard for $200 in Walmart. Is it worth it? No, not really. $200? I think it's cheaper through Apple. Or do you mean the iPad Magic Keyboard? Okay. Yeah, maybe. I thought you meant this keyboard. I would not spend $200 on this. This just came with my computer. Why would you pay more than $50 for a keyboard? Well, if it's the iPad Magic Keyboard, if that's what he's talking about. I would not get a $50 iPad Magic Keyboard for, the little third-party ones with the trackpad. Those suck. So I don't know which one you're referring to. Hallmark's got the KFC Christmas special. The KFC Christmas special. Future Proof 4 says, when are you going to shave your crazy beard here? When my wife wants me to shave it. Because you guys have to look at it, but she's got to kiss it. So her opinion matters to me more than yours. I thought he meant like the Mac Magic Keyboard. Oh, okay. Krishna said iPad Magic Keyboard. Yeah, $200. That's great. The Magic Keyboard's a solid product. The Mac Magic Keyboard, no, don't spend $200 on this. If you're just using it for a desktop or whatever, no, don't. Just get some crappy little, what's it called, Logitech keyboard for $20 on Amazon. Yeah, if you're buying a normal keyboard, no reason to go over 50. That's fair. I use my 4 Apple TVs for IPTV and other streaming services, way cheaper. How much cheaper than Apple TV Plus? They extended the free trials again. I'm coming up on 2 years of free TV Plus. It hasn't showed up in my settings yet, but I can confidently say I'm not really utilizing it. None of the shows that have since launched look very interesting to me or my wife, which is somewhat important. You want to make sure you're not just watching. Honey, Apple made it. We have to watch it. Why? That doesn't look interesting to me. Yeah, but it's free. I don't care. If it's not good, I don't really care how free it is. It doesn't make a big difference. Which music streaming service you use and why? Any strong opinions here? Not really. They all kind of do the same thing. I was using YouTube Music for a while, and then my brother-in-law got a family plan for Spotify Premium and just asked if I wanted to be on it for free. He didn't ask for anything in return. He was just like, do you want to be on my Spotify family account? And I was like, oh, okay, sure. So now I'm on Spotify. I like it. I like Spotify more than I thought I would. If I had to pay for it, I wouldn't use it, though, just for the record. If we were tied between Apple Music, I think, is a little bit cheaper if you do the annual plan. Spotify doesn't do annual that I'm aware of. I know that there's certain people that get discounts with either Spotify or Apple Music. So just use whatever ends up being cheaper for you. For me, this ends up being the cheapest. So that's what I'm using. It's literally cost me nothing. But if my brother-in-law was like, hey, could you reimburse me for Spotify Premium? I'd be like, nah, just take me off. That's fine. I'll just go back to YouTube Music. I'm not using streaming music services as much as I used to. When I was younger in high school and stuff, I would use it a lot more. Now, with how I'm working and how I'm spending time off of work, it just doesn't run into a lot of situations where I need to listen to a ton of music. So I don't mind that the UI and layout of YouTube Music's pretty clunky. Apple Music's a way better UI, but I don't value it at like $10 a month better. It's not $120 a month a year good. It's better. But I like the UI of Spotify, though. Like the user interface and the layout is very clean, and they have their own kind of design scheme that gives them their own kind of unique look. And they even change on the Apple Watch. Like the Now Playing tab is different for Spotify than it is for Apple Music. I don't want to listen to ads. I got YouTube Music for that. If Spotify falls through, I'll just go back to that. But basically, I know that through one of my services, I'll be able to listen to and play music with no ads, If the UI is a little clunky, whatever, that's fine. But I can still pull out any song that I can think of and be like, play this, and one of the services will have it. So AT&T unlimited data plan gives you HBO Max subscription for free though. That's good. See, if it's already through something, I don't blame you. I would use free services too if it was bundled with something I already have. That's why I have TV Plus. If Apple asked for 1 penny for TV Plus, I would not pay it. Like, I'm not joking there. It has nothing to do with the price. It has everything to do with I am paying for this or I am not paying for this. So I will use TV Plus if it costs me nothing. But the second it costs more than nothing, I will lose all interest in anything on there. But watched a few shows. It's very subjective, you know. I think in the tech community, there's a lot more of a present audience of people who knows about Apple TV Plus. But now looking at the data being shown, it's becoming fairly obvious to me that outside of the tech community, I doubt that many people know or care about Apple TV Plus if they're at 3% market share, right behind Peacock at 6%. And Peacock like just came out not that long ago. TV Plus has been out longer. And also Peacock just recently got The Office, which is one of the, you know, most popular, greatest TV shows of all time, arguably. Just if you don't like it, it's safe to still say it's very popular. And I don't think Apple TV Plus has really found a show or a title that major. They have a few. I mean, there's like The Morning Show, but The Morning Show is only popular because it stars people from other popular shows like The Office. And that is what people want to see, I feel like, more than The Morning Show itself. So yeah, my deep down hope is that Apple tries to do all these services like Apple Arcade and News Plus and TV Plus, and they try really, really hard. There's some people who don't like The Office. They're out there. I know. They're called weirdos, but I have met a few people that are like, it's cringy. I don't like it. And then I'm, slap them across the face. I watched The Office 11 times through, so I don't see a need. It's on Peacock, but you have to pay for it. It's on their like premium section, and I'm like, I don't need to pay for that. I've seen The Office. I have that show basically memorized, so I don't need to go through that again. But either way, the collection on Peacock is pretty wide compared to TV Plus. It's actually a good show, The Morning Show. Wife and I enjoyed it. I got like it's so subjective though. You can enjoy it. Me and my wife got 3 episodes in, and we're like, I've never been more bored watching TV in my life. It's just everybody's annoying. Everybody's just screaming at each other and mean to each other. It's like it's all personal taste. Some people like that. Some people don't. I could not get into it. Everyone's unlikable. That's what I didn't like about The Morning Show. It's like I can't relate or like any character, and everybody's just annoying. I don't want to keep watching this. So you can. There's certain shows like that where it's like you really got to commit to it. You got to keep going. You got to keep watching it. It's like, yeah, but how much of my time am I going to sacrifice on the hope that I eventually start liking something? You know, how much time do I have to dedicate to this? We watched Trying on Apple TV Plus. We liked that show, but we also both agreed that it didn't need to be a show. We felt like it was just a movie that they stretched into a show because obviously it's kind of an annoying thing about streaming services. I felt the same way back when we had Netflix. We don't have it now. Netflix is too expensive for me to be justified with paying for it. But obviously, honestly, if there was one streaming service I could pay for that someone was like, I'll give you this streaming service for free, I would choose Netflix. I feel like when we had it, it had the widest selection of stuff to choose from. And it felt like, when we're done with work at the end of the day, we want to watch something and we're choosing between all the different streaming services. It always felt like we found something we liked on Netflix. It changes and varies for each person. But either way, back when we had it, there was a movie, not a movie, it was a show with Paul Rudd called Living with Yourself. And we basically binged the whole first season in one sitting. And by the time we finished it, we were like, why does this need to be a show? It's like these streaming services, because they need to get you to keep paying for it, they will take ideas that would be really good movies and they convert them into like 3.5-hour movies with episodes. And then they got to end it on a cliffhanger so that they can get you to keep paying for it. Whereas, a movie doesn't help a streaming service very much because you pretty much watch a movie once and then call it a day. So that's why all these services don't try too hard with movies. I mean, sometimes they'll do a feature film, but for the most part, most of their focus goes towards shows because they need you to keep paying for it. But it's kind of annoying. This Trying should have been a movie. Uh, I don't know what they're gonna do with the season 2, but I'm not that interested. But the single season 1 would have been a solid 2-hour movie. I feel like it could have lost a few of the subplots that didn't really go anywhere. There were several I want to say side quests. I know that's not really the term, but there were like several side quests in the Trying show that were like, that doesn't need to be there. But um, we watched On the Rocks on TV Plus. That was terrible. That made me want to cancel the free trial. It's like, I don't want to use this and it cost money. So no, I don't watch anything on Netflix now because we don't have it. Let's see. 11. I've never watched. uh, he's a comedian. Used to be on The Daily Show, and he's done some Netflix specials. There's so much stuff to watch now. Anyway, you can't keep up with everything. You got to pick and choose your battles, I guess. So we're just choosing the cheapest battles. Yeah, but this is the way of the future. I'm just here to say that the future we wanted of like just having one streaming service that never increased in price, that collectively got more and more content from every studio, is impossible. That never would have worked. Like, there's not, like, financially that business model could not have worked for just Netflix to buy up all the stuff from Disney and NBC and everything and just keep it at like a low price, and we get all of this content for one subscription, because that's what all this complaining really comes back to. People just want one super duper cheap subscription that covers everything. But the comeback of all these services is probably going to increase pirating, which is not good. So I don't know. We're more than likely in a few years going to start seeing more bundles that are like cable TV, where they're just like, this includes Netflix and Peacock and HBO Max. It's like, all right, there it is. We've made it full circle. We have completed the we have completed the arc overall. They're literally adding shuffle features now because there's so much choice that people can't choose themselves. What do you make of this? Makes sense. That's kind of how cable TV works. You know, you kind of plug it in and it just starts playing. There's probably some mental study that's showing that people will watch more stuff if you just start playing for it. Twitch does the same thing. Netflix does it too. You know, I noticed that they started getting rid of trailers in movie titles and stuff. Like, the second you open Netflix, they just want to start playing stuff. If you go into a different title or a different movie, they don't let you say, here's a trailer. Here's a preview of this movie. They're just like, no, we're just going to start playing the movie. Even if you're just reading the description of the movie, you just see the poster, you see the ad for it or whatever, and you're like, I wonder what this one's about. You're like, I don't want to watch the movie. I'm just curious what it's about. And the movie starts playing. And there's probably some type of psychological study that's been done there that proves that, like, if we just start playing the content, people will start watching it, they'll get hooked in, and then they'll watch the whole thing. So YouTube does the same thing with autoplay. Who remembers back when YouTube didn't have the autoplay feature and it was just like, the video was just done? You finished a YouTube video, it stops. Now it's like, okay, 10 seconds, let's find another one, next video. And it probably works. That's the thing. It may be annoying, but studios will do what they got to do to get their ad revenue up or get you watching content. That's their best bet. I never understood the "are you still watching" thing, though. I don't get why. Just, even if I fall asleep, it's like Netflix making that face on you, like, "Are you still watching? Are you really? Who cares? Maybe I fell asleep. Keep playing. Whatever." You've had autoplay disabled. Yeah, a lot of people do, probably. It is kind of annoying, especially when autoplay brings up stuff you don't know or care about. You're just like, why is this in my recommended? I did not ask for this in any way, shape, or form. No, thank you. Autoplay is how I found you. See? There you go. It does work. Some of you probably never would have found me if it weren't for autoplay. It's that simple. They're drip feeding content to you. Yeah, that's basically it. Are you still watching Saves Millions of Dollars per year on It saves millions of dollars per year on Amazon Web Services. However, I get your point. If you want to sleep through the whole thing, so what? Yeah, it probably does save the money. I don't care. What difference does it make if I stay up all night watching the show versus if I don't stay up watching the show? It costs them more money. Okay, who cares? I'm still using the service. Some people like that background noise, you know. They just keep that stuff playing. Recommended feed is how I found you. Well, I am sorry. Hit the dislike button, hit unsubscribe on the way. I apologize. Dang recommended putting me in random people's faces. No one asked for that. No one wanted this in the first place. There's too many services. I think we need more team players. There's too many brands, there's too many companies that are like, we'll start our own thing, you know. We're going to start our own. There's lots of YouTube channels even that have their own, like, you know, here's our paywall behind this, you can access this and whatnot. That's why I kind of got away from that. I had YouTube membership for a while, and then I was just like, there's too many subscription services. I'm going to get rid of this. So we literally axed it. The Talos of Tech channel used to have like a join button, and you could subscribe like $5 a month. And I was like, I'm not really offering much for $5 a month. I just cancel this. So I got rid of that. I actively encourage people on Twitch not to do the tier 1 subscription thing. I'm not really for having a bunch of stuff behind a paywall. If YouTube crashes and burns, maybe I'd revamp the Patreon. But if YouTube is still standing and I can still make ad revenue off of that, that's the team I'm playing for. I'm on the YouTube Premium team. I'm just here to try to make YouTube Premium more compelling for more people, because that impacts my income directly, and the more people on YouTube Premium, the better. And it also includes YouTube Music, and it's a little pricey, but YouTube has the biggest back catalog of any service out there. They've got more content than Netflix. You just got to know where to look. They've got a lot of crap content on YouTube, sure, but think of all the content creators you like, and if you don't have ads on their videos, yeah, I'd say it's worth it. Yeah, the music edition is a pretty sweet deal. It's like getting streaming. It's like getting Apple TV Plus and Apple Music put together. What do you think would happen if the only way you could watch YouTube is with YouTube Premium? A lot of people would stop, that's for sure. There would probably be a mass exodus. The number of people with Premium on YouTube is not high. I think it's a really nice service myself. I've been using it. I was actually suggesting it to YouTube. I remember, I don't know if I was tweeting at them, but I just remember in podcasts or with my friends and stuff saying, long before, back when it was called YouTube Red, back before YouTube Red was a thing, I remember saying, I wish YouTube had a paid option to get rid of the ads, because I use YouTube more than any other service I can think of. It was like, YouTube is my go-to. I mean, they've got movies on there, they've got shows on there, they've got amazing content creators, they've got amazing YouTube channels, which is like, it's different from a TV show, but in a good way. Like, content creators are more personable. You know, think of everybody on YouTube you know and love, and think about how much of their content you watch and how much more dedicated content creators are than just like movie producers producing shows. It's like, they're different flavors. I'm not saying one is necessarily better than the other. I love a good TV show, but I also love a good YouTuber. And having such a huge catalog of channels to choose from, ranging from any subject or any genre you can imagine. Even then, though, I still think, you know, the vast majority of people on YouTube are not using Premium. So if they made it Premium only, you might get a little bit of an uptick of people willing to pay for Premium, but you would most likely get a mass exodus of people saying, well, not going to use YouTube anymore, and then something else would likely fill its place. I bet another internet uploading site would be like, hey, come visit us. We have free content, you know, we're better than YouTube. So that would probably get a lot of people to move, and wherever most people were moving, I would probably have to move my content to as well. Why don't you live stream the podcast? Care to comment? Well, when you live stream things, people expect you to be more directly involved, kind of like right now. Like MC Rich, you can write a message and I can see it and I can engage with it. In the podcast, we're aiming to be more about the conversation between the three of us, you know, because if you're live streaming something, you have a chat and there's more things that can, you know, if you mess up or there's a technical difficulty, you can't really just edit it out. Whereas the podcast, we want something to be like, you know, it's completed. When it's posted, we're done with it. It is edited. It's in its final form, and we can continue to have a conversation just with each other, and we don't have a chat or people asking questions to distract us with. We do occasionally do the podcast live. It's usually like a special event or something. If it was like episode 100, I think we did live, or a couple of times we've done meetups, we've done live podcasts. So it's just every once in a while we like doing it, but I think the dynamic of the podcast would change a lot if it was just turning itself into a Q&A of just like, you guys write messages, we respond to them. That's kind of what we do here. And I upload these to podcast services, so you can listen to this in the audio format on, excuse me, I'm going to throw up. You can all watch in 4K. You can listen to this audio form on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts and all that stuff. So my goal is to give you guys lots of different variety of style of tech content. So we've got the short term tech edited videos that are comedic and don't take up too much time. We've got the like table discussion of me, Nick, and Randy, all bouncing ideas off each other, and we all, we're not engaging with a chat, we're just talking to ourselves. And then when you want a live show where we interact with you guys directly, we have Twitch. So I don't know of many other mediums or many other different ways to package tech subjects, but this is what I got. Take it or leave it. Okay, you all leave. Bye. Have fun. Yeah, I know Gadget Cast. I don't listen to a lot of tech podcasts myself. I spend a lot of time creating tech content, which is why I don't spend much time consuming tech content. There's very few tech videos I watch just because I'm fairly involved in that community as it is. Future Proof 4 says, how do you as a content creator get money from YouTube Premium? Did you have to sign up for it? No, it's included in your AdSense, so it all comes in the same paycheck. Like even if someone super chats on YouTube, or if someone's watching your videos with ads, or someone is watching your videos with premium, it all funnels into the same paycheck that you get once a month from Google. And YouTube Premium is like a higher revenue per view than most of the year with ads. So basically, if you watch my videos on YouTube and you have premium, I get more from your viewership than I get from someone who just watches commercials. So that's probably the best way to support your content creators. I don't know the exact math, how they calculate. It depends like who you're watching. They dedicate more of your subscription towards. But it is a section like in the analytics on YouTube. They have a category that says like, this is the money you've made from people watching your videos with YouTube Premium. And it's not most, but it's a significant portion, like relative to the number of people watching with premium, relative to the number of people watching with ads. Oh, cool. The video finished processing. All right. There will be a tech vid posted right after this stream, but it's done. So yeah, it's a great way to help me. If everybody was subscribed to YouTube Premium, which will never happen, but if it did, it would basically mean everybody gets a raise on YouTube, and content creators wouldn't see such influx in revenue throughout the year. Like in December, there's a lot more advertiser spending than January. So in January, most content creators make a lot less than December, just because of the holidays and stuff. Whereas YouTube Premium is the same price all year, so it would be fixed across the board. Thank you, Very Complex, for watching all my vids with premium. Appreciate it. Shibi1306 says Tailosive Tech is one of the few tech channels without any in-video sponsors. Every minute of video is Tailosive video, is pure tech info. I still prefer Tailosive over many tech channels. Aw, thank you. That's nice of you. It's a dying thing these days. There's most channels have to go with the sponsorship route. Nothing wrong with that. If you want to do sponsors, that's your choice. But I also really, really, similar to you, I really appreciate channels that don't do sponsorships, because you know that there's nothing you're not clicking for. When you see the title, when you see the thumbnail, that's exactly what all the video is. You're not getting like baited into, oh, now I'm hearing about Skillshare, now I'm hearing about Squarespace. Who's making their own websites anymore? Seriously? No. Do people like routinely travel to dedicated websites, businesses? I feel like 90% of consumers go to like the same 4 websites. They go to like Reddit, YouTube, Twitter. They don't go to like, oh, I want to go check out my local business's website and see what their store hours are. It's like, no, I look at it through the Maps app. I don't know. PewDiePie went on some rant about it recently. It made me laugh. It was like, go to my website. I have a dedicated website. Like, why do we do this? I don't know. I feel like YouTube 5 to 10 years ago was more pure than now. Now, double unskippable ads, can't comment on videos, tagged for young audience, so many sponsors, etc. I agree. But it's also a lot bigger. There's a lot more channels than there used to be. You know, in the early days of YouTube, there was not as many channels to choose from, and the production value was a lot lower. So, oh my God, the VPN ads. Ugh. Does no one think about the profit margins of these companies when they can spend this much money on advertising? Like, sign up for our service. We've literally paid for 80 billion ads on YouTube for someone to shout out this VPN. Like, how much money is this company making here? What's their profit margins if they can afford to pay like 80% of YouTubers like thousands of dollars? That's a lot of money they're making. I tolerated ads sometimes from only the very best YouTuber, but my double triple tap game is off the charts. Oh yeah, it makes sense. That's really nice that they have that feature. Imagine if they got rid of the double tap to skip thing and you had to like scrub to get out of the ad. Oh, that would be awful. Or Raid Shadow Legends, yeah. I haven't seen as many of those recently. Wow. As we're talking about how many crazy services there are, Yi Hirasawa coming in again with a tier 1 sub, just destroying my recommendation, saying just 28 months you've subscribed at a tier 1. Hirasawa, come on, that's too much money. They need a refund button, I'm telling you. Like, why can't I just click on this and say refund subscription? That would be nice. Why can't I do that? I don't know. Thank you, appreciate it though. That's a lot of support and it's completely unnecessary, but I appreciate it. It's Doomsday in it says, yeah, I was just thinking about this. If YouTube was a paid service, all YouTubers could make the content that they want. No censoring, no adpocalypse, no nothing. I would gladly pay for YouTube Premium in that case. Yeah, I think you would lose a substantial number of viewers, though. If YouTube became paid only, you would lose probably like 95% of the audiences on YouTube. So it would be a very tiny but fairly premium service, I guess, because you would get content creators that maybe didn't have to do sponsorships or didn't have to worry about censorship and could just talk about whatever they want. But YouTube would probably be more, they'd probably still be picky because, you know, if you had something bad like I don't know, imagine the worst type of content creator, the kind that would get demonetized initially. You know, you have some kind of like neo-Nazi channel. I don't think YouTube would let you be on YouTube Premium for that. They'd be like, so are you paying this content creator to be a Nazi? It's like, they would still probably have to approve you. They probably just wouldn't care as much about language and that kind of thing. There was a Linus Tech Tip video with the Raid Shadow Legends controversy. Really? What was the controversy? Got backlash for it? Why? Just because... I mean, I don't know why you would get backlash for being sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends any different than being sponsored by anybody. If you're going to be mad at someone taking a Raid Shadow Legends sponsorship, you should be mad at them for taking any sponsorship. What's like... Who cares? Like, does it matter who the sponsor is? I guess to a certain extent it does, but unless Raid... I don't know much about Raid Shadow Legends. Did they get caught in some scandal? I don't know. I have nothing wrong with sponsors, but not doing it is a big bonus. Yeah. That's very complex. Yeah, that kind of sums up my thought process on it. I watch a lot of channels that have sponsorships, and it does get a little bit annoying, but I like the content enough that I put up with it. But also at the same time, agreed. If there is a channel that doesn't do it, I like that channel a little bit more. You know, if you have two channels that are making fairly similar content, except one of them doesn't have sponsors and one of them does, I'm going to like the one without sponsors a little bit more because I'm going to feel like the content is a bit more rich and a bit less fake and a bit less, what do you call it, fluffy. It's full of fluff. It's full of stuff that doesn't need to be there. Developers of Raid owned by a gambling lobbying firm. Oh, that's not good. Community specifically hates Raid Shadow Legends. Huh. I didn't know that. The problem with Raid is the fact that they have so many sponsored ads. Well, shouldn't we be just as mad at everybody you've ever heard of then? Like, there's how many NordVPN ads have I heard of too? How many Blue Apron? How about Squarespace? They're all. What difference does it make how many times they've paid? Or Honey? How many Honey ads have you seen? I've also heard people say like Honey doesn't really work. It's just a Chrome extension that tracks your data. Honestly, I have not seen that many Raid Shadow Legend ads, to be honest with you. I've seen probably 2 or 3. I've seen way more VPN ads than anything. I've seen those like crazy. It makes me, every time I see an ad for something, it makes me want to not get that thing. Also, I wish ad companies could realize when they're advertising to someone that already has that particular product or service. Like on Peacock, we just mute the ads and go on our phones. Honey has proof that they don't collect data. Really? I don't believe that. Why are they free then? Where do they get their money from? I've just heard people install Honey and say like, "Oh, this doesn't really save you that much money. It hardly lets you get coupon codes from anything." But I don't know. I've never tried it. I have no interest in trying it. Sounds like a data tracking thing. Yeah, you just install this free extension that saves you thousands of dollars a year. And we're just creating this extension out of the kindness of our hearts. We don't expect anything in return, but we can also afford to pay YouTubers hundreds of thousands of dollars to talk about us, but we get nothing out of it. Like, where's all that money coming from? Where do they get the revenue to pay for all these sponsorships? The usual suspects. Paperlike. I've never heard of Paperlike. I've heard of Nebula. I hate companies who use coupon codes. Really? No! OBS freaking out again. Dang it, come back. Thank you. Comcast is being annoying again. Honey saved me $42 yesterday, but otherwise usually doesn't work for most things. Really? That's the first time I've ever heard someone like genuinely say they saved money with Honey. It's weird. I just don't like other companies telling me the type of video I have to make. Like, I don't really care what they're willing to pay. If a brand comes in and tells me like you have to say these things or you have to put it at this part of the video, it's like it's my video. Let me make it. If I want to talk about a brand, I will, but I don't want to accept money from a brand to say certain things. It feels weird. I use Honey all the time and get some really good deals. Okay, well, there's a actual review from Simon. Paperlike is a screen protector that's plugged in literally every iPad video. Never seen it once. No joke. I've never heard of Paperlike. I guess if you only watched Tailosive Tech, you never would have heard of it because I've never brought up Paperlike. I have Spectrum and it's the worst and expensive. Dang it, Spectrum. I get better discounts from my local store more than I get from services than Honey. Yeah, but it's the pandemic. You can't go to the local stuff as often. Oh, well. I guess we were going to talk about notches. I had that on the list of subjects. There's 4th time in a row, there's rumors saying this year the notch is going to get smaller. Where have you guys heard this before? Literally, we've been getting the same rumor for 4 years now. They said the exact same thing right after the iPhone 10 came out. Next iPhone will have a smaller notch. We're like, okay, 2018, we'll get a smaller notch. Nope. Maybe next year, 2019 iPhones will have a smaller notch. Nope. 2020, this is the year. It's a big design refresh. They're making smaller iPhones, so they have to shrink the notch, going with the squared off design. This is the big design refresh year. Nope. 3 years in a row, we believe these rumors about the notch. And now, here we are, a 4th year. The notch is going to get smaller in 2021. I'll believe it when I see it. This could be the year. I mean, I feel like we should penalize all the people who say iPhone will get a smaller notch this year, and then they say it every year for 4 years, and then eventually it does get the notch shrunk, and they're like, "See, told you." It's like, you've been saying that for how many years? Like, do we really count that as an accurate prediction? Yeah, I don't. My personal prediction is that if Apple has kept the notch the same size for this many generations in a row, they probably don't care that much about it. And I don't think they have the effort or energy to shrink it because they know that won't really make that big a difference. The only thing that would make a massive, not even a massive difference, but a noticeable difference is a completely gone notch, which is not even close. We're not anywhere close to being ready to remove it entirely. But even if the notch was just a little narrower or a little shorter, it would still be a notch. You would still notice it when watching full screen videos and when playing games. There would still be a notch there. And I don't believe Apple would just shrink it a little bit just so you can have your battery percentage back. You know how much work and engineering it would take to shrink that notch even a little bit just so you could have your battery percentage? There's like jailbreak widgets I've seen that can bring back the battery percentage to a normal sized notch. Like they can do the battery widget like they have on the Apple Watch. They could just do that on the corner, just make it a little circle with a number, and they haven't done that. I don't think they care enough about it to shrink it just for that. So I don't buy it. I think the notch is going to be the same size. Let's see. I wouldn't pay for YouTube Premium on its own for £12 a month, but as I get it with Vodafone UK for an extra £3 a month, I can't complain. Yeah, what you guys got to do is bundle up. That's where the real savings are made. Is figure out either how to get it through something else, or get the premium family plan and find like 5 people that are willing to split it with you. Because that's what I've done, and that's really paid off. That has really saved us a bunch just by getting the family plan and renting out different slots. Some people may be close to you, maybe figure it out in your family or the group of friends. Be like, if all of us pay $3, we can do this, and you all get ad-free YouTube. That's the way to do it. I mean, I've been doing it as long as I can remember, and yeah, I don't know if I could justify paying $18 a month for it myself, but if you're splitting it between a bunch of other people, yeah, everything's cheaper in India because the incomes are much lower there. That's why they gotta price things a lot lower to make them more obtainable. If they price them the way they do in other countries, no one would get them. Yeah, to answer your question, Marco, they've had the same notch rumors for the past 4 years, and they have still not changed. How about that underscreen fingerprint scanner? I still don't believe that either, mostly because there's been countless Touch ID will come back rumors for the past 3 years as well. I remember back in 2016 reading a patent that said Apple would have Touch ID underneath the display in the next iPhone. And it's said the same thing. They said the same thing in 2018-19. So there's a few reports that they say the same thing every year, and that's why I've become highly skeptical. It makes more sense now with more people wearing face masks that you would want to bring Touch ID back, but I would say it makes more sense to bring it back in the power button because that's a lot cheaper, and it still means that Face ID would be like the dominant biometric. They would still encourage you to use Face ID for most things, but they would just be like, well, if you need Touch ID, it's there, but you still want to use Face ID for most stuff. If they put it in the display, I feel like that would be them kind of admitting Face ID isn't that crucial, and there would be a lot of people probably just choosing to not use Face ID at all. And Apple's never made a device with 2 biometrics before, so this is, I feel like there would be one really good one and one like backup biometric. I'd be kind of surprised if they did 2 primary biometrics that were like, yeah, I don't know. That lock button makes sense. They did it on the iPad Air already, and that's cheaper than the iPad Pro. So if you need to add something really quick, you got to add Touch ID to the iPhone in a timely fashion, then just slap it on the power button. Putting it in the display is going to cost too much. And, you know, other Android companies have done it, I know, but they don't sell in the same volumes as iPhones do. So if an iPhone wants to add a Touch ID sensor underneath the display, they got to do it tens of millions of units, whereas Android has to do it usually single digit millions or less because Android's a very fragmented market. So yeah, I know. Once again, 5th year in a row, I think there's been reports that Touch ID will be in the display, but I don't know. Could happen. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying we've heard this before. This is not a new report, and it's usually around the January timeframe you get a lot of baloney. Just saying, for the record, you get a lot of baloney in January because the iPhone is so far away. It's like, oh, that's 9 months from now. They got plenty of time to figure it out. And as you get closer, the rumors start to get more and more realistic and a lot more disappointing. It's like, oh, actually, the notch is staying the same size. Actually, there's no 120 hertz. Actually, the prices aren't that good. Oh, actually, as you get closer, the rumors start dropping off. All the things we heard about in January start becoming less and less proven and less interesting. It's like, oh, yeah, that's not going to happen. Yeah, this will definitely be an S year. That's inevitable because last year was a major upgrade. There was a lot of changes brought with the 12, and it's a super cycle. You got a lot of people upgrading this year compared to the last couple of years. So anytime you get a major upgrade like that and you get a super cycle, it is inevitable that it will be followed by a minor refresh. iPhone 13 should have a redesign. No, Pawnee, you're doing your numbers wrong. 10, 10S, and 11, they do it every 3. 8 is the exception, not the rule. 12 should not be in the same design trend as 10. It has completely different displays, completely different chassis. It goes 6, 6S, 7, and then 10, 8's exception. 10, 10S, 11, those were all the same chassis, same screen sizes. And then 12 is the new generation, so we're due for 12S. It's going to be same design, same footprint, same chassis, just with updated tweaks here and there. 8 came out at the same time as the 10, so basically like a 5C. Yeah, 8 should not be considered part of the... that wasn't the second generation to the 7. I would say, naming-wise, it makes the most sense to call the next iPhone 12S. I've even heard putting the number 13 in your brand is apparently not good. 13's not good either. 13 Pro Max doesn't quite. The 10S Max is not good for marketing, but they did that. I don't expect Apple to do the logical thing with naming. They threw out logic when they did 10R. That made no sense. The R literally stood for nothing. People made up their own words of what R stood for, but like literally Phil Schiller went on an interview and they were like, what does the R stand for? And they were like, it doesn't stand for anything. 13 is an unlucky number in the West. Yeah, that's what it was. I read some report that said 13 is an unlucky number, so they want to... It's the same thing. It's the same reason they didn't do 9. A lot of people were asking why there was no iPhone 9 or why they never went there, and there was a lot of people saying that it has something to do with it. 9 has a predetermined... It sounds worse because it's less than 10, basically. 10 is a nice, round, clean number, whereas 9 feels like less than 10. So especially if there's other phones coming out that are like 10, 10 this, 10 this, and yours sounds like 9, people will literally think like that. They will literally just think, oh, that's the lower number. That means it's bad. So they'll avoid numbers like that. Yeah, 13's the unlucky number. So there's certain numbers that they just choose to skip for very, what do you call it, superstitious reasons. They're just like, oh, that number won't look good for marketing. So that's why I would say 12S makes more sense. As weird, and the syllables and everything will be weird, but I agree. But it's still, it would make more sense because it's an S year. It's not like a full number upgrade worthy year. Smartphones should come out every 2 years. Yeah, just don't upgrade every 2 years. Some people don't upgrade every year. You got to keep that in mind. There's a lot of people who didn't buy the 11. Apple is the company who releases the least amount of smartphones. Did you guys know that? I feel like a lot of people misunderstand that. There's a lot of misinformation out there. I've seen people on Twitter say stuff like they want you to buy the latest iPhone and then they're going to come out with another one in 2 months and make you feel like your old one is like... You realize out of all smartphone brands, Apple is the slowest to release new models. Every other brand releases, most of the time, 2 major phones a year. Samsung does like 40. OnePlus has like their 8 and then their 8T, and then their 7s and their 7Ts. Now they've got Nord. Like, most people upgrade every 3 to 4 years now, and that number is stretching. As time goes on, people don't upgrade their phones as regularly. So Apple is actually by far the slowest to only release one major lineup a year. Everybody else does way more than that. Google too. They release the budget Pixel and the higher end Pixel. Occasionally get an iPhone SE, but that doesn't happen every year. That happens like every 4 years. So yeah, that's Apple. Apple releases the least amount of smartphones compared to everybody else. So I don't think they could go to every 2 years. I think they would lose too much money that way. And there's a lot of people that are not buying the latest iPhone every year. So it's probably in their best interest to just make sure when they are in the market, they're getting something that's 6 months to a year old. Rather, if they did iPhone upgrades every 2 years, that would mean you could buy tech that's like 18 months old and it's still the latest version. It's still new, but at the same time, a couple months go by and now something else comes out and you bought something that's pretty dated pretty quickly. I still have the iPhone 8 and I got it a year after launch when they dropped the price. There you go. Works fine. I wonder what the 2022 iPhone would be called. Would they simply skip to 14? Yeah. No, I don't know if they would go 12S to 14. That is not as round a number. I don't know. I feel like they're going to have to figure something out with the numbers. They're probably going to break tradition pretty soon. It could even be this year. It might be a good time to break the tradition of 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It might start making sense to go to something else. iPhone 2022 edition, or go by the year, kind of like iPads and MacBooks. They don't go by the number. But yeah, it's not very great for marketing longevity wise if they start going iPhone 14, iPhone 15, iPhone 16, iPhone 17. It just won't roll off the tongue very well, and it'll probably make them feel less special if the numbers get higher. They're already kind of getting there. Are you going to have 17S, 13S, 14S? Yeah, it's not. They'll have to think of something else. iPhone Pro, and then you just put the year. iPhone Pro of 2022. They're going to look so similar anyway. Might as well just embrace the year they come out. Do you think they'll drop the numbers next year when they get to 13? Yeah, maybe. Especially since it's an unlucky number, I think it would be a good idea to start referring iPhones by year. Yeah, that's what we're saying just now. Pretty much that exact topic. They pretty much have to do something. I'd be very surprised if they just keep this number trend going. It works okay with iOS, but even then they might have to think of something else. Mac OS doesn't really go by the number anymore. They just come out with a new name. Maybe they'll start doing iPhone Mini, iPhone Air, iPhone Pro, stuff like that. Air 4 isn't following the number sequence. That's something the tech community does. We call it the Air 4, but Apple doesn't. Apple brands it as iPad Air, and then they put in parentheses 4th generation. So if Apple were to do what they did with the iPad Air, they would just say iPhone Pro 2022 edition, or iPhone Pro 1st edition, and then the year after that iPhone Pro 2nd generation, 3rd generation, and so on and so forth. But no, in marketing they never called it the iPad Air 4. They just called it the new iPad Air. Looking at the website now. Yep, it's all in the fine print. Same with the regular iPad. They just call it iPad, and then you scroll down and it says 8th generation, 9th generation, and whatnot. I feel like Samsung's S10 to S20 jump was more odd. Nah, I thought it made sense. Because you didn't want to go S11, S12, S13, S14, S15. So instead they're going based off of the year. S21 because it's 2021. That's a lot easier to say than iPhone 2021 edition. So, no, I thought that made a lot of sense personally. It's kind of weird, yeah, because they're going from S10 to S20, but it's no more weird than going from iPhone 8 to 10 and skipping 9, or using the letter X and then the letter S, but saying 10S. That made no sense to me. 10S Max, that was stupid. But they did it, and just putting the letter S and then that's the year, S21. Yeah, that's simple. A lot easier to remember. A lot easier to predict. S22, S23, S24. Man, it sounds redundant. I'm glad we're getting out of the smartphone content on YouTube. Get more towards EVs. It sounds more interesting. Now it's just going to be same old, same old. Nah, the camera hole is gone. Now what? Now what do we look forward to? Anyway, thank you guys for the Twitch Primes and the bits. I have a new tech video for you. I hope you like it. It's about the 12 mini flopping, and I hope you laugh. Put some little nuggets of comedy inside it. So it's up now. Enjoy. See you guys in the next one. Have a great day. Bye bye.